The chipped mug warmed Eleanor's hands, the familiar weight of comfort in the quiet of her small apartment. Rain lashed against the window pane, a relentless rhythm that mirrored the unease that had been growing in her chest for weeks. It had started subtly, the feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation on the back of her neck when she walked home from the library. Then came the misplaced items. Her favorite scarf draped over a chair she hadn't used, a single rose left on her doorstep. Insignificant on their own, but together, they formed a chilling pattern. Eleanor was a creature of routine. She liked the predictability of her days. Morning coffee, a walk to the library, writing in her journal at the corner table, and then the quiet evening spent reading. She had always cherished her solitude, a haven she had carefully cultivated after a lifetime of bustling family gatherings. Now, that solitude felt like a vulnerability. The most recent incident had been the most unsettling. A photograph, printed on cheap, glossy paper, had been slipped under her door. It was of her, sitting at her usual table in the library, engrossed in a book. The picture was grainy, taken from a distance, but the intimate feel of it sent a shiver down her spine. It felt like an invasion, a violation of the small, safe world she had created. She tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe someone admired her from afar and was just being clumsy, but the feeling of being hunted was growing stronger, a constant hum beneath the surface of her day. She started varying her route home, checking over her shoulder reflexively, the joy she once found in her solitude replaced by a knot of anxiety. She told herself it was paranoia, that she needed to be sensible, but the fear was a constant companion. She considered telling the police, but what could she say? She had no concrete evidence, just a feeling, a growing dread that someone, somewhere, was watching her. She didn't want to be dismissed as just another lonely woman with an overactive imagination. One evening, as the rain continued its relentless drumming, she heard a soft scratching at her window. Her heart pounded in her chest. She crept towards it, peeking through the gap in the curtains. Nothing. She told herself it was just the wind, the branches of the old oak tree scratching against the glass. But then, she saw it, a faint shadow moving in the alleyway below. Terror, cold and sharp, pierced through her. It wasn't just her imagination. Someone was there, watching her. She stumbled back from the window, her breath catching in her throat. She grabbed her phone, her hands trembling as she dialed the emergency number. This time, she wouldn't be silent. The police arrived quickly, their presence a welcome relief. They searched the alleyway, found nothing, but promised to patrol the area more frequently. Eleanor felt a small measure of safety, but the dread lingered. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every creak of the building, every rustle of leaves against the window, sent her heart racing. She curled up on the sofa, clutching a blanket to her chest, her eyes wide open, staring into the darkness. Days turned into weeks. The police patrols offered a sense of security, but the feeling of being watched hadn't vanished. She continued to take different routes, her routine disrupted, her peace of mind shattered. She found herself looking at every face in the library, every shadowy figure walking past her window, wondering if they were the one. One afternoon, while browsing the shelves at the library, she saw a familiar face. He was a young man, often found in the quiet corners, always looking intensely at books. His face was unremarkable, but something about his eyes, the way he seemed to observe everything, made her pause. That day, he was looking at her, not directly, but out of the corner of his eye, a fleeting glance before returning to his book. Eleanor felt a chill spread through her. She had never spoken to him, had never noticed him beyond his quiet presence in the library, but his face, now that she was paying attention, felt unsettlingly familiar. It was the same kind of gaze she had caught in the photograph, the same sense of quiet, watchful intensity. She left the library quickly, her heart pounding. She didn't walk home. She took a taxi to a nearby hotel, feeling the need to be somewhere else, somewhere he wouldn't expect her to be. That night, she lay in the unfamiliar bed, feeling a profound sense of loss. She had lost her solitude, her peace, her trust in the world. Eleanor knew, with a chilling certainty, that this wasn't going to end easily. The man at the library, the stalker, was close, and she was going to have to fight for the quiet life she so dearly loved before it was completely stolen from her. She knew she wasn't going to be passive anymore. She was going to start watching back. The predator had become the prey, and Eleanor, the quiet woman who had always lived alone, was ready to fight.